I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome home to the Parenting Autism podcast. This is where we talk about Team Bryce, and I encourage everyone to give yourselves your own team name, and because we're all part of this club we call Parenting Autism.
Yeah,
So-
see, that's true.
Yeah. So we're back for another episode
Yes, it's been a couple of weeks.
of life.
Yes, and what a couple of weeks it has been.
I think we say that most of the time, don't we? Because
do,
there
but-
really is never a dull moment.
No, there's not. I guess it was like last Saturday that I felt like I was almost ready to do a podcast after 1 week. And that was going to be about social interactions and the struggles that Bryce is having and where we're trying to help them. But then we didn't do it, and we rolled into this week, and then it got trumped with the newest headline, which is just trying to help Bryce with his reading disability and some other things. So, yeah, I feel like maybe today I would prefer to unload about the call we had with his vision doctor that led to the consultation for his reading, that led to the hurt and pain that we felt this week, that led to the eruption and everything else that has happened this week. And I think that would be good. And then for the next episode, I really would like to hone in a little more on Bryce's struggles with social interactions, because that is a major part of autism, where I feel like these other struggles that we're having aren't all related to autism, but they're also related to his ADHD, and they're also related to, some other intellectual struggles that he has. But I think those are two important topics. I don't want to hit them both in one, maybe because I don't want
It's
to
a
talk
lot.
about, I don't want to upset myself again or you. But we'll do the vision reading, all that today.
Yeah.
Does that sound good? But first, let's lead off with happy news before
Happy
we go
news.
down the other path of,
Yes.
challenging news. So,
We're pregnant.
stop, my Lord. And that was me falling to the floor. Drop.
No.
No. But our book has been born.
Well, yes, we have a baby book.
Yay, we did. We have a baby book. It is officially published. It is available on Amazon
As a paperback.
as a paperback. And
Right.
if you search for Parenting Autism, The Early Years, you should see it. Because probably, I don't know if you can look by author, but it is Chris Coulter and Sandy Coulter.
Yeah. And so are we going to be working on other versions of it, I suppose, right? Like a Kindle version or something?
I'm
or-
going to work on the ebook. As I
Ebook.
mentioned last time, I have to redo all the formatting, and I was exhausted from getting the paper book
I
done.
don't know why they make you do that. Why can't they just make it all one format?
I wish they would, but they didn't. So, but for now, we've got the paper book out there, and it's really exciting because we can see when orders are happening. And although we don't know who is placing orders, we have been receiving feedback from people who have ordered it. And they read it like within just a few days because they say they can't put it down. And
It has been encouraging hearing
yeah,
the
and
feedback.
we had one message that came in yesterday, and she's like, I laughed, I cried, and I learned so much. And where was this book 28 years ago when I was working with children in pre-K that had special needs? And she doesn't even have autism in her family, but she could read that book, which is what we were hoping. It's not just for parents of children with special needs. It's for people who work with children who have special needs. It's for people who are just
Around
compassionate and concerned
Yeah.
and may have interactions at some point in their life and will be better prepared to understand what it's like for families who have to parent and live with special needs. So
I hope it's a good
good.
representation of the world that we live in with us, Bryce's team.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That we're representing it in a good way? Or what were you saying?
We have represented our journey in a good way, like in a way that encourages families and that also gives perspective to, like you said, families that don't have special needs. That I think we've done a good job with that.
I think we did too, and I think it was really important to both of us that when we shared this, that we be vulnerable enough to keep it real, which we did, but to also give that hope, because we do have that. And, we wrote it for the first 10 years of his life. It kind of had to wrap at some point. So it was like as he was turning 9 and where he is at age 9. And now he has flipped that to age 10 and we're rolling into that.
And it has lots of pictures. And I like books with pictures.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. But, that's why I said there's probably going to be another book. And I had one reader who wrote me and said, I'm looking forward to the next book. And I thought, yeah, well, we already got material. Trust me, after this week. But
I know.
That's what it is. You have hope. We've come a long way. And
should we write a book for every age? Bryce, age 10. Bryce, age 11. Bryce, age 12.
That's how we do a podcast.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, it's been good. It's good. I'm super happy it's out there. And we hope that now that the listeners have known, we've officially announced it, that you guys will buy it. We really do. Or if you feel like you don't need it, maybe you can buy it for someone that you think will need it. Yeah,
you could even send it anonymously to maybe a family member that doesn't quite understand your situation, or maybe a good friend of yours that you haven't been able to talk to them about it,
or maybe there's someone that that you think they may have a child that's on the spectrum, but it's hard for them to accept that.
Yeah.
Then maybe if they can read that, yes, it can be rough, but yes, it has hope. It might help them. So, it's out there I know it's out there for people. Our prayer is just that it gets to the people that are supposed to read it. And I will be working on some marketing, but I have been transitioning this month, going from my full-time job to now working a couple of days in the office, but then working at home with Bryce with school. And then you changing to your new schedule.
That's a good segue. So, welcome more into my world, I guess I should say.
Yeah, for sure.
So, tell us, or tell the listeners about some of the things that might have surprised you, or just how it's all gone.
Okay.
And you've had, 2 full weeks?
I have had 2 full weeks.
Okay.
That's true.
Yeah. And the first week was kind of like feeling the water, getting your toes wet. And then this past week was more of a routine, maybe? I
would say that is accurate, too. So last week, you're right, I was trying to get my bearings together with balancing, too, and compartmentalizing. That was a big thing for me. Because Monday, okay, what am I doing? What's my role? Because we were kind of figuring that out.
Who's doing what?
Yeah. Yep. And Bryce is used to you. So I got fired by Bryce.
You did get fired.
Pretty immediate. Yeah, like the first day that I tried.
What did he say?
It was the Acellus curriculum. And so he has this Acellus curriculum, which is his 4
main
core
subjects,
courses. Yeah, the 4 core classes. And then I've been focusing more on the extracurricular stuff. So you're like, well, you can try it with him. Okay. So I did. And I guess I was keying in the answer for him. And I keyed it before he said, no. He changed his mind, which Bryce does that.
Yes, he does.
So I put in the answer that I guess he changed his mind, didn't want me to put in, and it was wrong. So that was it. So I was no longer allowed to. So then he's just like, Mommy, you cannot teach the Acellus anymore. That has to be Daddy. You can do all the other stuff, but you can't do that because you went too fast in his own way. That's what he was saying. In other words, you clicked it too fast. You didn't give me time to change my mind, and you're fired is what he wanted to really say. So I was like, fine. And so it was kind of funny, but then I'm like, well, it is true for him. It's a big change. It's a lot of change, going from just you all day and then kind of balancing us. But that's good for him to have change. So anyway, so last week I got fired. And then this week I'm happy to say I got rehired. So that was good. But I went into that first day back into work, and it was I had been out for 10 days. So there was a lot of things that I know they're happy that I stayed for a couple of days because I'm still helping, and that's to be expected. So when I came home that night, I had a hard time sleeping, and I had to really pray in my journal on Wednesday morning. Okay, Lord, I know you've called me to do this, but I need you to help me compartmentalize. When I'm here with Bryce and Chris, I want to be present, and when I'm at Team IP, I want to be present. It's really important that I'm able to turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah.
If that's the only way this is going to really work, and I really believe he answered that prayer for me because it got better from there. And when I went back on Thursday, it was good. And then by Friday of last week, I felt like, okay, we're kind of getting this. And on Monday, at the end of that day, on Monday this week, I was at the top of the mountain. I felt like, wow, I've really got this, I figured out for Bryce that it should be just like I start my day. I start my day before I get into anything else with a little bit of time with God, whether it's reading a page from my Jesus Calling book, whether it's listening to a praise and worship song while I do my walk. It's so good for me to start my day that way than going into Facebook, going into email. For Bryce, going onto his video game, going onto his iPad. I want him to start with God. And that kind of lays it out for the rest of your day. And so that's what I told him on Monday.
That's great.
I said, we're going to start with Bible class because that's going to start your day in the right way. Because what I did last week, learning, rookie, I tried his metronome first. And that is a course that he takes. He has to put headphones on and he has to listen to these beats, and it's to help the processing speed of his brain. And it was very, very, very frustrating for him. And it almost ruined the day because we started on that note. So I'm like, okay, I can't start with that.
And they had upped the difficulty level for that.
And I didn't know that. And they did that because he was age 10. So it did not go well, but that's all learning. But it is better to start with God anyway. And we did our pledges.
Yeah.
So we pledged to the American flag, the Christian flag, and the Bible.
Yeah.
And then we did our Bible class. And it was a really good start. And then he gets his breaks after that. So after Bible class, he takes his break. And then we do typing because he does well with typing. And he can do that independently. And he averages around 90, 92. He does good.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, sorry, percent. Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's a good way to start the day because I do believe with Bryce as well, confidence and self-esteem are going to be areas that he is going to continue to, he struggles with and he's going to continue to struggle with. So it's kind of like football analogy because we're football fans, right? I know that coaches will give the quarterbacks easy plays to start with and for the receivers as well because they want them to start out with a good confidence. Okay, this is working, we're in rhythm, and then it can get more difficult from there. I think it's the same thing with Bryce. Let's do things that come easier to him, and Bible comes really easy to him. He loves it, and it's not a struggle for him. And so is typing. So if we can get him off on that positive note, then when he gets to the more complex subjects, then his confidence and his self-esteem is already higher. If I started him out with writing or reading or metronome, as I know now, then that would not be a great start to his day.
Yeah.
So that was really enlightening for me, and learning that. But I did feel like on Monday, I think I got to even do a little bit of a Celis, but then, so our routine is that you're now going into work in the morning. Well,
most days,
which works out well. And then I will start school when he doesn't have therapy. And then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, then he'll do therapy in the morning. But I'm really with him all day on Monday and Wednesday. And then on Fridays, I take him to therapy, and then I have him after that. So that's how it's working out. But it has been interesting, and it is good. I think it's great that I'm seeing what he's learning. And yesterday I got promoted to do a Celis all day. Woohoo! And we made it, and we did good. And he handled it well with me doing it. And I was telling you that some of the review material on his test, I hadn't seen because I hadn't done that with him, but he knew all of that.
Yeah,
and he did really good. So good job.
Thank you.
Teacher Daddy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So anyway, that has been what's been going on from a school perspective the past couple weeks.
We also ordered the, I don't even know if we mentioned this on the show yet, but we ordered a smart board.
You did briefly mention it, and you said it's coming.
So yeah, we're very excited about that. A couple more weeks, we should have it in our hands. And it's really going to help me with teaching, that I can draw on the screen while they're doing the videos, or if we're doing another type of lesson, I can draw on the screen. He can do math on the screen if they have the problem on the board. And they even have YouTube on there if we wanted to watch a clip about a subject, and their proprietary software automatically removes the ads on YouTube. I guess they have some type of agreement with YouTube where with this monitor, there's no ads, and he hates ads.
Oh, I know.
So, but not that we're going to be using YouTube very much, but that is a resource. And they also have other educational apps on there that we can launch and use for different problems, graphing, shapes, geometry, that type of thing. So it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. And so, we can move from there to reading.
Yeah. So Monday I was at the top of the mountain. And then Wednesday morning we had a phone call with
his eye
doctor, the one that did his testing back in January. And so Bryce did some vision therapy from home.
Yep.
And so he completed that course, and she was going to be reading the results and then kind of go over that with us. So that was the call on Wednesday morning.
She was happy with the results.
She was. She said I made a note here. She said something about, she saw some stuff with letter reversal and directionality.
That was in his initial assessment.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was saying on that.
His vision therapy was basically, it's a computer program, and it has these blocks on the screen, and sometimes they overlap, and they just move around the screen. And it's your eyes following the blocks. So he hits the arrow keys whenever the block moves. And so it's like vision tracking. So that really didn't have
that was the issue, his tracking. She said that improved, right? His tracking.
And that's what that program was for,
Okay, I just thought she said there were still some issues with letter reversal and directionality.
No, I think that's what she said that we needed to address next.
Oh.
Probably, yeah. Because she saw that when she did his initial assessment.
So it had nothing to do with his test, but it's still an issue, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's,
the good news is he improved in tracking,
yep.
But we still have some issues with letter reversal and directionality. So thanks for clearing my mind on that. But she asked, did we get the neuropsych evaluation? Mm-hmm. And we said, yes, we did. And she said, okay.
What were their recommendations?
Yeah. And we're like, well, we really didn't get any.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Well,
kind of not.
I don't want to say that, because we did get recommendations, but it was more based on behaviors, his anxiety, that aspect of him.
Yeah. So let me say, we didn't get any recommendations specifically to helping with his reading challenges.
Right. He gave us all the scores of the reading, all the reading tests that he did, which were many. But we just didn't know what to do with those scores. And I don't think really
it's not his field.
It's not his fault.
No.
He's probably not up on the latest programs or teachers or whatever that he would need.
Well, right. I think there's a sequence in all of this, which is what we learned, right? Is we got recommendations from multiple doctors that Bryce should have a neuropsych evaluation. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and that's what was provided.
And I think some of them probably do provide.
They may, if they're
resources.
actually in the school setting, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, we really didn't. And I know when this all happened and we did all the reviews of his testing, he was given a reading disability a formal reading disability diagnosis, but he's really not that bad. It's not severe. And the doctor even said it's not severe because he was like in the low to moderate. Was that what it was? I think that was even his wording, right? Low average. Okay, so he's low average, but he said it was low enough that he wanted to go ahead and put that in writing for Bryce because it may open up doors to help get him the tools and help that he needed, like for tutoring or assistance or whatever. Okay, no problem. And if you gave Bryce a book to read, he can read some words. So it's not like he can't read at all. We get that. But you and I both have observed he's not the strongest reader as far as sounding words out, decoding them as the word that they say. And he will skip words.
Replace words.
He'll replace words. And then if he sees...
He'll insert words.
He will modify a word is what I was going to say. If he saw the word fabulous and he didn't know that, but he saw it started with F-A, he'd probably say fantastic or whatever other word that he knows starts with an F and an A.
And he does that pretty quickly.
He does, and he rolls. He just goes with it. He pushes
it's like
right
a bulldozer.
through. And so, right. He just sticks a word in there so he can get to the next one.
I'm killing all these words.
That's it. So that is how he reads. And you got to applaud him for the effort. He does not get stuck. He does not stop, and he does not try to process it.
So the vision doctor, what are they called? I don't know. Ophthalmologist, eye doctor, yeah. So she said, okay, well, I'm going to look for some resources to help you guys with that. And you know, did she recommend getting a reading or somebody that knows reading and to go see somebody that knows reading? She was going to look in her resources to see if she had any. She said
find appropriate reading instruction. That's our next mission.
Hurdle, yes. Yep. So Google.
There you go.
We found appropriate reading instruction. And
one moment, please.
Here's Bryce.
Oh, boy. Are you wanting to tell people what you got yesterday? Bryce just woke up. Go ahead. You want to talk?
Yes. You got to talk. Come on in. Good morning.
Good morning, honey.
I've no Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
And tell us about that.
It's awesome. You have to defeat Bowser.
Oh,
what is this?
Yeah, what is that?
Describe it. They need more details. Is it a book?
No, it's a game cartridge.
Oh, what kind of game is it? What do you play it on?
The Switch.
Oh, you play it on the Switch? Super Mario Brothers Wonder. And how did you get this?
How did I get that?
Yeah, how'd you get it?
I used my money.
You bought it?
Yes.
Oh, what money did you get?
$60.
For how did you get that money?
By
did it grow
birthday.
On a tree? Oh, yeah. Birthday. There we go. All right. Anything else?
That's all.
Okay. Have fun.
Close the door, please.
He was excited to tell you all about that.
He just got up, so.
Yeah, and that game just arrived yesterday, so it's excited. Like Christmas for him.
It's like Christmas, yeah.
So anyway, okay, so yes, you Googled.
We found one, and
local.
Not too far away.
Yeah.
So it sounds like she's a retired teacher, you think, and just opened her own business?
Yeah. Yes.
So.
And extremely knowledgeable.
Yeah. So what a blessing.
What a blessing.
As much as I want to move away from here.
See, I'm telling you, God. See, I know. He has us here for a reason.
He keeps us planted here. But anyway, she got out one of the things that surprised me is she got out some books for us to look at. And she's like, okay, well, this is, reading level that we're at in 4th grade. And I opened the book and it was like a short novel.
It was 3rd grade.
I thought it was 4th grade.
No.
3rd grade?
Yes. I know.
I think both of our jaws dropped to the ground, right?
Well, so if I can go back. Yes. So if I go back just a hair, when you found this on Google, we called her and then she said that she does a free 1-hour consultation just to kind of see where Bryce is at.
Yeah.
Okay, when can you come in? I said, I can come on a Monday, Wednesday, or a Friday. Those are my best days. And then she's looking. She goes, well, I had an opening tonight at 6:30, and his ABA had to cancel. Mm-hmm. So we're like...
And she had somebody cancel.
Yeah, so it was meant to be.
Yeah.
We took it.
Yeah.
So we didn't tell Bryce what we were going for. We always said was, we don't know. She's going to help you. She's going to find ways to help you make school easier with your reading. That's what we know, because that is all we knew. We didn't know what this 1 hour consultation was going to involve. And she did she asked us some questions in advance to kind of prep. And we told her, all his diagnosis that he has and where his struggles are. And she wanted to know what reading level we thought he was at. And I put up 2 fingers, and you're like, my wife thinks he's 2nd grade.
I agree.
And I was like, that was just my guess based on books I get from the library for him. But back to your point, when she showed us 2nd grade versus 3rd grade, the jump was tremendous. Tremendous. And for Bryce, the reason why it's such a big struggle for him is the print gets smaller, the font gets smaller, right? The spacing gets tighter, and there's a lot more words on the page. And for Bryce, that is overwhelming for him.
Yeah. And she said, you can't overwhelm them or they'll get discouraged and they won't read. And it's so important to read.
Yeah. So even though we've been getting some books, like he's very, very much into buildings right now. The kid is studying everything about every skyscraper in the world, and he wants to go to Dubai, and we're not going, but he
unless we have a speaking engagement there.
I was going to say yes. If you want us to come speak in Dubai, Bryce would love for us to go there.
Book us, so
but having said that, we reserved some books from the library on that, and he opened the first page, and he's like, there's 1 million words on here. I can't read this. And he closed it.
Yeah.
And that was it. It didn't matter what the topic was. So that was good insight for us as well as we're trying. But I will say this, you and I are both 54 years old. And when we left that hour and a half consultation with her, because it went an hour and a half.
It was like the Charlie Brown teacher.
Oh, my word.
Wah, 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 wah.
You know how Bryce said in the middle of the consultation, my brain is dead.
And he fell to the floor.
I wanted to say to you, my brain is dead, and I wanted to fall to the floor. It was so much information for all of us.
And she was giving Bryce some easy questions, but it was the end of the day. It had been a very long day. And he's like, this place makes me angry or something.
Yeah,
he's
like,
I
will never
I'm not coming back here. And we're trying to keep a straight face.
Thankfully.
And this poor lady.
And I can't correct him for saying that, because we tell him to use his words and let us know how he's feeling.
Yes.
And he was being really honest and saying, and he goes, all my power is gone. My brain is dead. Okay.
So basically, she had a stack of books, and she wanted to know how he did with reading. So rather than give him a passage that might not be interesting to him in a book, she just grabbed the books and said, read these titles, right? And she kept doing it. And he was doing okay with that.
He actually did.
And then there was one book that he wanted to look inside. So she's like, oh, okay, so let's read more about this. And so he started reading the book, and then he didn't want to read the book anymore, but we told him we wanted to find out the ending, because you want to know the ending.
And I think I offered up some points, and that would get him to DP, which is Domino's Pizza.
By the time he was done reading that, I think that's when he says, my brain is 0% or whatever.
My brain has no power.
No power.
It was dead.
So,
but he did so good with that. Again, he blows through some words, but he read at a good speed. He goes through it, and that is Bryce. He's very determined, and he'll say, he will always say, if he's going to try something hard, I'll risk for it. I don't know where he got that phrase, but that means, okay, I'm going to go for it. And he did.
And he's back.
Oh, okay, hold on. Oh, did you want to say more? Or you want them to hear something? Oh, there's an elephant Mario flying through the clouds.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for showing us.
Thank
yes. You. All right.
Is there something specific?
Did you want
to? All right.
I want the seeds.
Oh, okay.
Close the door, please.
Thank you.
Bryce. Thank you. Okay.
So, I mean, really, she was educating us as parents and also as his teachers.
And she was taking notes the whole time that he was reading. So
Yes, she
was
was.
looking at the words that he missed and how he's pronouncing words and the words that he couldn't pronounce, right?
Yes.
So there was somebody named Gigi in the story, and he said Gigi. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's kind of a hard word, you know. It's kind of weird phonically.
It is.
But,
it is.
yeah.
And she got to that later. She did the titles because she said they had a lot of sight words.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to see, and she was telling us, like, at this age, they should know X number of sight words. And at this age, they should know X number of sight words. And, you know, again, Bryce knows a lot of words. And then she said at a certain age, and I also remember his psychologist telling us as well that the brain decodes early, like you learn certain things at this age, and then at a certain point, things should come naturally to those words you don't have to worry about. Then you start breaking down and sounding out the more difficult words. And then you get to comprehension.
Right.
So Bryce really isn't
Right.
getting to comprehension, which I can figure out after this meeting that we had, because if he's making up words just to get through a sentence, he's not really thinking about what he's reading.
Right.
He's just powering through. Because for him, the task is get to the period. You know what I mean? Like, let me get through that page. Let me get done with reading this. And what did I read about? I don't know. Kind of, that's it.
And truthfully, I do that sometimes. Like,
If you're not interested, right?
or you're tired,
Yeah.
you read like a whole page and you're like, what did I just read?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't interesting enough, or maybe I
Right.
was too tired or whatever. But yeah, it's a big deal for him.
So for him, you know, if we're going to help him get to the next level of reading and learning, then we're going to have to find ways to help him. And the whole idea of this was, okay, get us some tools for here so we know how to help him better with schoolwork. And she said that she can give us tools to help him with
Homeschool.
reading skills that are in games and fun ways, so it doesn't always feel like it's work to him.
Yeah.
And then they also have tutoring services that are available for one-on-one if we feel he needs that as well.
And if we feel like we want to drain our bank account,
Or if his scholarship covers it,
maybe.
as I smile big at you.
When she told us,
But
the
it was a
price-
large amount.
Yeah, even for the evaluation, I was like, oh my goodness.
It was $895.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of
It
change.
is a big chunk of change. And so then you have to weigh this. Okay, do we need this? And what's the return on that investment? Isn't that with everything in life?
Yeah.
Every dollar and every minute? Listen, at this point in my life, that's how I look at things. Am I getting a return on my investment? How I invest my time, am I getting the return that I want? And how I invest my money, am I getting the return that I want?
And reading, we talked about it. It is so important. I mean, reading is probably one of the most important skills that you can have, because that's how you learn new things.
Yes.
Right. So we're hoping that scholarship will help with that, and we'll get him his evaluation from her, and hopefully some recommendations we can use at home. And
Yeah.
I feel like if we can't feel like we can accomplish it at home, then we can look at the tutoring.
Yeah.
And go
And
from
you know,
there.
and she asked us if he was getting speech and language. Yes. And she asked if he was getting occupational therapy. Yes. So both of those things, they don't do therapies there, but they know that it all works hand in hand. And that's what you and I were saying too. If we can get these tools and we can kind of, again, put a specific plan together for him, it's kind of like what they say, you know, you don't build Rome in a day and you don't eat an elephant. It's one bite at a time. I feel like that's this with Bryce. It's like we're just going to have to take small steps, make sure he gets that, and then it'll lead to the bigger. And I think we've said this all along. Bryce is going to work at Bryce's pace, and Bryce processes slowly. He processes definitely slower than we do. But we have to come back to his speed. We're not going to force him up to our speed.
Yeah. The key with Bryce is to reinforce. So just to go back, make sure he's getting concepts, and make sure that he's getting the information into his brain and that he's understanding it. So that's a lot of pausing. That's a lot of reviewing And it works. It works.
It does. And I think, we probably have a lot of listeners that homeschool their children, or maybe their kids are struggling with reading in their school setting, wherever it may be. I felt like this was enlightening.
She was so disappointed with our school system. That lady was. Yeah.
Yeah, the public school in
she's
Florida.
Like, I can't believe.
She came from New York, and I guess it must have been much better.
I guess
in her opinion.
The kids down here, they're not reading at level or reading very well. And she said that the problem with the school system is every kid is different. So think of it as different cookie cutters. You just can't group a dozen cookies into one room and teach them all the same thing and expect the same outcome, right?
And in the defense of the schools, how can you expect them to do that?
Right.
When every child is a different learner.
She says, each kid is different. They learn differently. They have different skills. And so what she does is she evaluates them, find out where they're at. She meets them where they're at and works on what they need. So
basically what we would be investing in with that $895 would be...
so buy our book so we can...
Stop it. No, what I was going to say
help
is...
him get this reading.
Stop it. Darn it. No, what I was going to... I don't even know what I was going to say. I totally blanked.
So we were just...
I had a good point
there.
Well,
we were talking about the school system and meeting the child where they're at.
That's it. What we would be getting in return for spending that money to get him evaluated is a customized plan for Bryce.
Mm-hmm,
and I think that is valuable.
That is valuable.
I mean, to me...
There
would be other things that I would put on a back burner to put that on a front burner for him.
He's got to be good.
Yeah, because
he's doing good in math. He loves science. He's doing okay in social studies. We're learning about different parts of the United States right now. So, and language arts, he's struggling in language arts a little bit, I would say, because of the reading and the stories.
But
that's where
it depends what the subject is. I will say, you asked me earlier my observations coming into the homeschool setting, and this may not just be in homeschool; it may be in school in general. But I will say that Bryce's education, and again, I think this could be across the board in public schools too, is very much video-based and not book-based.
Well,
and when I grew up, I'm just giving you a comparison. When I grew up, we had books for every subject, and we had to read our books for every subject. And I'm sure that's probably helped with reading skills. So you wonder why children are behind in reading. She made this general statement that newspapers and news media, which now is on the internet, that normally they will write on a 6th grade level because most readers are kind of capped at a 6th grade level, even as they go into adulthood. And I just think that we're probably not doing ourselves any favors and Bryce any favors by letting almost everything be video and less reading. Yeah. We got to incorporate more reading into his curriculum as we help him with these challenges. I would say that.
Yeah.
Was an enlightened aha moment this week.
There are a lot of textbook-based curriculums out there for homeschool. And the reason I picked more of a video-based curriculum was I felt Bryce engaged more of the senses.
I agree.
The ears, the eyes, and it's more engaging for him than to look at words on a page. So, and I can be there for like what he's learning. I can pause a video and stop right there and make sure that he has a concept. But if he's reading, I don't know where he's at in his reading or, what exactly where he's at. And so with a video, okay, we're talking about mass and volume. Okay, well, pause that right there. Let's make sure he knows what mass is and what volume is and what they're used for. Yeah. And then I'll hit play and the teacher might reinforce that again, So I think it's been good for him, but like you said,
it's just like proportion. Again, I'll go back to a football game. Football analogy. You got running and you got passing in your offense. You got to have that right balance, to cross the finish line. And I realize every opponent is different, right? So same thing as we're tackling, boy, I am on football. It's football season.
Yeah.
But anyway, as we're tackling each subject, one subject may be better to have a little more video, a little less read, a little less text. But other subjects might be better to have more text and less video. And we'll just have to kind of figure that out with each one and how we can incorporate more. I do know, like, when he has the reviews, we should have him read out loud every answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, make him read out every answer instead of just telling me A, B, C, or D. And that reading instruction, she said, multiple choice options, questions, they don't do
they end up
the readers
guessing.
because it comes a guessing game. And you know what? She's right. I mean, I know I loved those much more than where you have to force your brain to think to come up with the answer. For Bryce, listen, I don't want to push him too hard. I have one goal right now, and that is to help him get to the next level of reading and where he'll be able to enjoy it. But I think if we can... Are you hot?
Yeah, it's hot in here.
Oh, okay.
I'm like,
Chris is fanning himself, and I'm like, what
man,
does this
it
clue
is
mean?
like-
I don't know what he means by this.
It's not a silent clue. It's like, why am I hot in here? I don't know.
But anyway,
yeah.
so that is, we definitely have some goals that we'll be working on. We'll be sharing things as we learn them. If we find like really important key things that are helping Bryce, we'll be happy to share them. If you guys have questions for us and you want to reach out to us, we'll be happy to share that as well. But definitely today's topic was going to be about reading and all of that. So having said that,
I feel like the more we try to help Bryce, the more of these rabbit trails we go down, right?
does it feel like a can of worms that we open and then they're everywhere?
It's good and it's bad, right? I could see how a parent could be like, I don't want to know. I just want to keep going with teaching him. Or because when you do drill down, it's more work, right? It's more...
For sure.
It's like, so...
And
it's hard.
It is hard. and I think when we both left there on Wednesday, our brains were tired. Bryce's brain was tired. And we knew, yes, this is what we should be doing. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a godsend. It truly, truly was. I mean, she is 10 minutes from our house. That in itself, so knowledgeable. They have the resources. I do believe his scholarship is going to cover it. So,
I want to talk about one thing. Go, but finish your thought.
yeah, but I was going to say, and that is what we kind of took with us to bed on Wednesday night, and then again Thursday night. And I will back up and say one thing, if you can keep that thought. On Tuesday, after I was on that high mountain on Wednesday, before I hit the reading valley on Wednesday, Tuesday evening, I'm leaving work and I'm going to meet my brother for dinner because it's our weekly get together. And I get a text that my dad fell out of his bed and hit his head and he had another stroke blackout, or TIA, they call it. So anyway, that was my Tuesday night that I had to go and help take care of my dad and see him weak again. And it's heartbreaking. And then I lead to the reading with Bryce the next day, and my mind is blown with that, and I have so much on my mind with my family's health. My mom's recovering from her broken arm, so she can't, she needs help taking care of Dad. My brother has myotonic dystrophy, and his health is fading, so he can't fully take care of Dad, and I, at one point, the three of us, Mom with her broken arm, Brandy with his weak muscles, and me with my big heart but weak strength. The three of us are trying to pull Dad back up onto the bed so that we can set him up. And you have to laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah.
And I told Dad, you have the Three Stooges here just trying to help you, And Dad still has his sense of humor. And he's just like, I'm Larry. I'm like, well, you might be Curly because, my dad doesn't have his hair. But anyway, we just had to laugh. But when I came home that night, my heart was just like broken for all of this. And then we add the next day and the whole reading and all that conversation. This was all just pouring onto me, which led to what happened with us Thursday night / Friday. But what were you going to say before I wrapped all that up?
Oh, well, part of seeing that lady with the reading was she has a lot of tools and stuff. And one of the tools that she showed us was this little, simple little thing. Looks like the old school phone, you know.
From the ear to the mouth.
Yeah, from the 60s. And
I mean, like where it's something
a hollow,
that you hold.
It's a hollow tube that goes from your ear to your mouth.
Yeah.
And when you
so
talk into it,
yeah.
it amplifies your sounds.
Yeah.
So if you say a word into it, you can hear it very clearly in your ear. And she said that really helps the kids understand what they're saying. They can hear what they're saying and what they're pronouncing a lot better when they use that. So if they're having trouble in a specific area or a specific phonics, like
Bryce's TH, he does F's.
Or C, you know, the C sound,
yeah.
And they talk into that, they can more easily recognize the wrong sound or whatever.
That was a cool tool. I put it to Bryce's ear to see how he could handle that because he's sensitive to sound. And so he said something and he goes, "That's weird."
Yeah.
So, but it was different. But anyway.
And then he tried to make this ear piercing sound. I'm like, why would you do that? It just doesn't make sense.
It was terrible. I felt bad for the lady having to hear that too.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Leading into everything coming to a head, and I called it a perfect storm because, you know, we don't argue very much here in the Coulter household, and that is a blessing. And I feel like we don't get into the long drawn out fights here. We usually reason with each other and compromise, and cooler heads prevail whenever that does arise, which is seldom.
Very seldom. And we rarely cry.
Yeah.
We choose to laugh.
Yeah.
Or try.
But this week it just all came to a head, and there was just one thing that I think just triggered everything, and I came unglued, I guess, inside. You know, I didn't lash out at you, but I got very angry
you were
inside.
Visibly angry.
And it was at the end of the night, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm not going to say anything because if I say something, I'm just going to say the wrong thing.
Which was wise.
Went to bed, and I stewed on it all night. I didn't sleep. And I'm like, I just need to get out of here. I woke up the next morning and went to work. You came home from dropping him off at therapy, and I just passed you and just went to work.
Pretty much.
And then after work, I'm like, you know, what am I going to do? I was so mad still, and I'm like, I need time for this madness to go away, right? I thought time would do that. Time away. But as time went on, I found that I wasn't really releasing that. Excuse me. So I was staying mad, and I'm like, why am I still mad? I was tired, right? And it's just the combination of everything. And I'm like, and I told you, we were texting. You had texted me a couple of times, and I didn't respond because I didn't want to just unload on you. And so I felt like it was better just not to even respond. And so I told you I needed some rest, and that I would get back to you. And I think as guys, you know, we're different from women when it comes to these types of situations. Guys, we close up. We go into our cave, we diagnose what's wrong, and we try to fix it. Women like to talk things out. We already know women have more words than men, and this podcast is a great example of that. And you know, women want to talk it out right away, whereas guys, we're not ready to do that right away in most cases. And so we go away to our caves, we figure ourselves out, and we come back, and we either talk it out or say, okay, well, everything's okay now, just, you know, smooth it over, whatever. But that wasn't working for me, and I was like, okay, I got some rest. I came back to you. I said, well, I'm going to try to explain my thoughts to you, and I'm trying not to get angry while I'm doing it. And so we were texting. We weren't on the phone, and I think that
Which was better.
I think that was better.
I agree.
And so I, paragraph by paragraph by paragraph, I typed it all out. And at the end of that, I felt a relief that I couldn't explain. And I'm like, wow, I just needed to really just say all that. And that's what made me feel better, not keeping it in and just stewing on it.
Yeah.
So.
And I obviously knew that the flame that lit the explosive was not the issue.
Right.
Because it never is.
It was a culmination of
I
just
knew
everything.
there was something more, but I really did not know what that was, and I am one also, I don't explode. So I have a 24-hour rule. I'll usually give myself 24 hours. And then if something's bothering me still, then I have to say something to somebody, or that kind of thing. And I again, we so rarely get angry, especially with each other. I mean, you might get angry at drivers in Port St. Lucie, but that real where you just know I need some space. And normally, we're about to share or celebrate 18 years. I can't even count on one hand how many times. It's like we've been that blessed, right?
Yeah.
But this was different. It was deeper. It was lingering. You were cold, and you've never treated me that cold that I can remember ever. So it was bad, but I respected that you needed space.
Yeah.
But I also was like, at some point, you've got to tell me what it is, because it's not fair to me,
right,
if I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously, it wasn't
right
what
and that's kind of
was
like
said.
what
It was something to that, and I knew I said something snarky back to you. And then I apologized for that because, I played it back in my mind like, I should not have said that. I have a defense mechanism too. I came from an abusive marriage before. So, it can come up, like my defenses can come up. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have to use them often. I wouldn't have got remarried if I thought that I did. But, those hurts come back and you're like, but you can't do that. And so I recognized that. I apologized for that. That I knew, but I thought, no, it wasn't just that. There was more to it than that. And then when you shared everything, honestly, the root of it had a lot to do with Bryce. Yeah. And how we're feeling hurt for Bryce. And when people feel hurt.
And I really had to drill down into that.
I don't think you knew exactly what it was.
I sent you a text and I said, this isn't just about, let's call it $40. And it was the $40 argument, right?
Yep.
And $40 isn't much. And
it was really $39. No,
$39. Yeah, right. And I said, this isn't just about the $40.
And I knew that. And I told you that.
There's a lot more to that $40 than the $40. So, yes, Bryce. Bryce is back.
Oh, something else?
What do you want to say? You got to use your words.
There's difficulty. It shows you the amount of difficulty for levels.
And Bryce has, tell them what it is. They can't read it.
Super Mario Bros.
No, what's the difficulty? What's that mean?
That means.
What am I looking at?
You're looking at the stars.
How many stars?
4.
And what does 4 stars mean?
That means it's hard.
Oh, okay, so and you're doing it hard?
But 5 made super hard.
Ooh, oh boy, wow. You're up to 4 hard.
Close our door, please. Thank you. So anyway, I knew that it was more about more things than just that. And I texted you that because I wasn't ready to unload.
I know, and I knew that.
But I wanted you to know that, listen, it wasn't that.
And I came back and said, maybe I thought in my head, well, I know that. I just need to know more details. In this case, I did because I could not figure it out. And then when you told me what you were feeling and your perspective and what it was, like I was saying, I know that hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it happens, and you don't mean to. And when you're hurt, you'll go more to anger because everybody has their ways that they do it. And when I'm hurt, I probably go less anger and more sad.
Yeah.
But you were hurting. You were hurting for Bryce, and I was hurting for Bryce, and I was hurting for my dad, and I was hurting for. I mean, it was a rough week.
Once I figured out what it was, I went from anger to sad.
Because I tried to tell you, I've had a rough week too.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand this, and that was hard. I mean, hearing all of this for Bryce. Okay, and for your perspective, you know, I'm trying to see it from your way too, which is so important because communication
is very important.
Yeah. I mean, we have
If not the most important.
If not the most important, because you can't assume that I know how you feel, and I can't assume that you know how I feel or how I'm thinking. Even though we've been married almost 18 years, you still don't always know.
Listen, in this day and age, a lot of time can pass from week to week, and you're just going through the motions without being able to catch up with each other, right? That's why date nights are so important, and communication outside of the daily routine is important, so we can keep up with these things that creep in.
Yeah, you know? And that's what happened. Things will creep in, they'll stew, you don't know. But, you know, I'm putting myself in your shoes, which is so important to do. You're listening to that lady with Bryce and with reading and the struggles. And then I thought, and maybe subconsciously or consciously, you've been his teacher since kindergarten, and he's struggling with this. I would be like taking that personal on some level, because how did I miss all of this? I'm doing my best to teach him, and he's progressing, and he is truly, passing from grade to grade. But if you're missing something, you feel like, I'm doing my best. What more can I do? How can I help him? You know, so I think, like I said, either consciously, subconsciously, that's a punch in the gut, you know, and he's our son. And we don't, every time we hit one of these hurdles, like, you know, especially when it's an intellectual disability.
It's a reality check.
It's not a social thing.
Yeah.
It's an intellectual. Is this going to hinder how far he's going to be able to go in life? How far he's going to be able to go independently? You know, we know he's extremely smart and intelligent in so many ways, but what are the barriers that prevent a human being from going to a place where they can go to that next level? So I think it was like all of that building up. And I had canceled the date night because legitimately I had a headache almost every night this week. And yesterday my stomach, I was just not in good shape. And so I had just told my mom, you know, I think I don't feel well enough. But then you wrote back, and then I think it was a good idea that we did get together. And I think that's what you texted me was, you know what, I just need a good cry. I think we just need a good cry together. Is there a spa for that? Yeah. And I'm like, well.
SPA, spa.
Yeah, because we like to go to the spas.
I think we need a big hug and a big cry.
Yeah. And we did. And I said, how about we just go to the beach tonight? And we cry and we pray together.
Yeah.
And so, okay. And then I'll meet you there. You meet me at the beach, or you meet me at mom and dad's?
Yeah.
Okay. So we met at the house, and then you told me that I was already crying at that point. And I did a great job of Bryce seeing nothing yesterday. Yeah. He has no idea all this happened. I kept my game face on. You know, even between the texts, I'd let you go out, and then I would kind of respond in between. And then I went into the bedroom and had my cry there at the end when we were just getting to the heart of it, you know, and I felt your hurt and I felt my hurt, and we're just hurting for our son. So, yeah, that's what we did. So you said you cried on the way there. I cried before. So when we were together, we really weren't crying.
Yeah, we just prayed.
But we were hurting still, and we just hugged each other, and we found a beach that nobody was at except for the bugs, and took a little blanket, took our sweaters, and listened to the ocean, and you prayed over us, and that's what we needed.
That's what we needed.
It was very healing.
It was.
Very, very healing, and we've probably needed that for a long time.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't want to cry now, but that was really good.
Maybe we could do that once a week.
I don't think I could do that once a week, man. I don't like to cry.
That was tough. That was tough. But yeah, I mean.
And you asked, can we share that on the podcast? Would that be okay? And I'm like, I think it's important to.
It's important. It's real life.
It is real life. It happens, you know. And yeah, we're strong most days. But
I'm like, I
It's
couldn't
under
figure
there.
out why I'm like, I should not be this mad. Why am I this angry about this little thing, but I had to drill down into it.
Yeah. And then when you said what you said, it all comes down to our concerns for Bryce.
Yeah.
With legitimate concerns for Bryce.
Yeah.
And then a lot of that is faith, and we have to trust God, but we also have to be wise, and there's actions we need to take.
That's it.
But a lot of
It's
it
a
is
balance.
not in our control.
God gives us wisdom.
Do share about the doves, because I think that's important.
Yeah. So the morning after my worst night of sleep in history and being so angry, I was coming out of the office to go to work, and you were coming in the front door. Just before you came in the front door and we passed, I glanced out into the back porch, and there were 3 doves sitting. I think there was 2 on the bench and 1 on the ground. And it caught my eye, and I stopped and I looked at them, and all 3 of them were looking at me. And they didn't fly away. They, doves, so you get scared, they fly away. But they just stopped. I stopped, and I looked at them, and they looked at me, and it was just like God was saying, we're here for you. It was God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the 3 doves. And I looked at him. I'm like, I know, God, I know you're here. Why am I so angry? Why do I have this anger? Why am I so upset? And I just couldn't, but I knew that God was there. God was in it. And, maybe he was trying to stretch me or whatever. But I just knew it was a great reminder for me, and
And when you said doves, immediately I'm like, that's his peace.
Yeah.
And he did give us
that's
peace last night, because that's what doves represent.
Yeah.
And I did. When you said 3, I'm like, that is the Trinity giving us peace.
Yep.
And that's what we needed yesterday.
Yeah.
And we did get it.
We did.
I mean, I feel
we
it.
did it. We did.
Yeah. I feel
It
like
was
I
such
feel
a
like we
load
leveled up.
that was lifted
Right?
up and off of us.
Yeah. It took our relationship to another level that needed to happen.
Yeah.
And
Growing pains, right?
Growing pains,
I
babe.
guess that's what that
that's
is.
it. So
But anyway, so
that's
that
hot
was
off
that.
the press. Ta-da! Yeah.
Life's not easy.
No, it's not, honey. But,
there's-
you got to work life's not easy. Relationships aren't easy. Marriage isn't easy. Parenting isn't easy. And you're like, why does it have to be so hard? But the Bible doesn't say that
It will
be
be
easy.
easy.
All he promised is that I will help you through it. Mm-hmm. And he does. And we
Yeah.
grow from each thing. Like I told you yesterday, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm hearing something from God that is totally different than you.
Yeah.
Then, well, what's right? What's in my head?
Right.
I thought I was doing something that was spirit led, but was it spirit led? It can get confusing, and you got so many things. But that's why we have to talk about things. And
I had seen doves in the backyard before, but they were.
No,
I've
to be
never
right there, yeah.
in the however many years we've lived here in this house, I've never seen them on the back porch.
Yeah.
And I've never seen them at the back door like they were at the back door.
no, that was totally a divine.
That was just amazing.
Yeah, that was divine affirmation for us.
Good reminder for me.
That was good, babe.
Yeah, I think we're, yep.
There we go. All
Yeah, I
right,
think
we
that's-
hit it.
That's good for this episode.
All right, people. We'll be back again. We'll be talking about social interactions, so look forward to that.
Yeah, we've had some of those, and we'll let you know how
We've
they
been
went
working
down.
on that, like with intentionality as well.
In the meantime, go to Amazon, check out our book.
Yeah, please do.
Let them know also about Bryce's paintings. You have those on Etsy.
I
Do you wanna
did. So
let
I
people know?
loaded up a store for Bryce, and it's called ARTIGRAPHS for Autism.
How do you spell artigraphs?
So it's like a combo of art and photographs. So it's ARTIGRAPHS
And it's
at autism. ARTIGRAPHS for autism.
for autism. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Bryce has these paintings on there that he's selling. He's saving up to buy a refrigerator because ours is on its last legs.
He
And
says it's boring.
he likes all the features of
He
the new
does.
refrigerators.
And we really do need one, so we're letting him go for this. And honestly, it's been, and I explain on there, it's good for Bryce because the painting skills are good for him. It helps him with his grip. The writing is good for him. It's because it's helping him with his language, and he can only do like 3 to 5 letters without getting angry, as he puts it.
When he's writing.
But we've found inspirational words, and we've picked some favorite colors of his, and he does his golden glitter. And it's the holiday time. So if you want to buy a gift, it would be a perfect gift for yourself. You could request it for Christmas. You could give it as a gift for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like $19.90 plus shipping. So I just put it under $20.
Mm-hmm.
And it will make Bryce super happy. And you can always request a custom one as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you want your specific color and a word that is 3 to 5 letters that you find inspirational, or any of the word combos that you see on there, just let us know.
Perfect. All right. That's a wrap here, people. And thanks for being part of our club.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Go Team Bryce, and go your team as well if you have your own team.
We're rooting
love
for
to
you.
hear from you guys. And we'll be back soon. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.